Yes.
Okay, thanks. Thanks very much. Yes, so I wanted to say a few closing words, as we usually do. So starting with some analytics or some cute plots for you to have what the workshop was about in a way. So before I get a few pointers. So starting with the obvious ones, which is something we're always very keen to see, which are the communities and the people who actually register for the workshop. So we have here this big blob of collaborations represented. You can twist your head and see that we have a huge number of collaborations across the globe and various communities represented. Of course, many people participating from the LHC experiments just because of the huge number of collaborators in those experiments. We also see that this actually quite prominent this year. We have a large fraction of what we put on university, so meaning undergrads or even postgrads that are also not associated with collaboration by themselves. You see that we have about 400 people there, just as many as the LHC experiments together. So that's quite impressive. It'd be interesting to understand what exactly they could take from the workshop. Okay, we also see, for example, here in terms of gender, that usual thing, whether you look at students or non-students, we have avoided 10-20% of female students, with more students rather than non-students with in a collaboration. So this is something we see across the community now, certainly in hydrophysics. So this is no surprise, but you see it very clearly here in this presentation, in this plot. Now, if you go beyond this thing and you try to organize by physics areas, which you try to do here, then okay, you see again at the bottom of the plot, the university, as I mentioned, was over 400 people registered. The LHC is just about the same, and then you have other communities such as astroparticle astronomy, cosmics, hydrogen physics, non-LHC, heavy ions, computing, instrumentation, neutrinos, and nuclear physics as well, phenomenology. So quite a bit, quite a diverse set of people. And if you look, if you take out the LHC, which are the big experiments, you can see a little bit there. So it's a bit like a zoom of the other plot, and you see that about 60% of registrants are not from the LHC actually, so which is quite good. So if you look like in terms of more collaborations, just to make it in a little summary, in a colorful plots by pie charts by these areas, you can. I'm not going to go through all in detail, but you can see here, for example, for neutrinos, you get some 60 people registered. You have quite a lot of collaborations just by eye. You have a dozen collaborations represented there. Likewise, for particle astronomy, of course, at the top you have the LHC and hydrogen physics on top right. If you go to accelerated physics as well, heavy ions, simulation, nuclear physics as well, I see here almost 20 people registered from several collaborations there, like eight or so. This is really nice. Something we are particularly keen on is it's called PyHEP, but we like to see that it's kind of particle physics, quote unquote, in the grants, in a from a broad perspective. So again, here you can look at the leisure, the economics, cosmology, computing, instrumentation. Again, different collaborations and groups together. So just to finalize a few words in this slide, in this final slide. First of all, thank you very much for your participation. It's really brilliant and to have your participation from across the globe and across such a large number of committees that I've just mentioned on the other plots. It was speaking from our side. It has always been great fun to prepare, organize these workshops. We also hope that it was great fun for you to participate in these workshops. So this was actually the end of the first edition already. Sounds like it didn't start that long ago, but this is already the fifth one. As you may know by now, we went into global events, not in person, starting in 2020 for obvious reasons. And that's why we also had such a large number of people being able to attend the workshop, whereas in person you have the usual constraints, especially from talking about students and so on, that they don't have the facility to travel around. And also something that we are very keen on, we have managed to build a nice community around these workshops, and that's something you see from the plot here, where about a third of the people who were attending or registered this year have already attended at least one of the previous PyHEP workshop. So there's a continuity. I was talking during the social time with one student, with one master student. He told me it was his third participation. So as a student, he was already participating as an undergrad, and now I was also participating as a master student. This is brilliant. This is really rewarding from our perspective. So big thank you for that. This year, as you know, we try to go beyond the plenary sessions that we have done all the way through these 5 years, meaning we had two slots during the week to do some socializing, and we had 2 slots to try and accommodate everybody at least once, whether you were, say, in US or in Asia, in Europe. We realized we are a bit Europe-centric just because the sheer amount of people actually registering and participating from more or less Central Europe and more or less these zones. Likewise, we also tried something new this year, which is the workshop, again in 2 time zones. So we are very, very keen on receiving any thoughts you might have. In fact, we will probably send out at some point a post-it workshop survey, but by all means, if you want to get in touch with us, there's the email on the Windico page. You can always send some thoughts or ask questions, anything. And if you want to stay in touch, so we put together a few links here or in green. So of course, this is the HEP Software Foundation. The PyHEP actually has a working group within the HEP Software Foundation. You have the link there to the working group. We also have meetings every now and then, topical meetings, at the month as we call it. We have our GitHub channel, which is the main way in which we communicate typically, and there's also Twitter, and of course all the GitHub repositories that you can see from for example, from the working group homepage. You have several other links there. So with these words, I would like to thank you all for participating. I would also like to thank my co-organizers for having run this throughout the week. It's been a fantastic pleasure. It's always great fun to prepare and see these things happening. So thank you again, and I hope you keep in touch, and for anything, just see you maybe around a bit. And with these few words, I would like to close the workshop.